Now the topic here is, should the Jets pursue Desean Jackson? And I think that they should absolutely 100% positively go after Desean Jackson. The question is, will John Idzik want to pursue Desean Jackson? And I don't think so. Desean Jackson is one of those players that have baggage, and to me, it's really not that bad. There's rumors going on that he has gang activities or related to gangs, and he's also not really a good player in the locker room. He's another Santonio Holmes, except he actually plays really well and perform in the field. But when you look at John Idzik, GM who's, first of all, he's a penny pincher. The guy is cheap as can be. He doesn't like making splashes. His philosophy is built through the draft. He likes having that cap space and just saving the cap space year after year, and maybe making a big splash on one player. This year, obviously, it was Eric Decker, and some team needs, but I don't think he's gonna end up with the New York Jets. Simply because John Idzik hasn't called him yet. He's not showing enough interest. It shows that the Jets personnel are very interested in him. Rex Ryan obviously is one of them who's in the hot seat. He has to win, so he would like Desean Jackson in the offense, spreading that field, giving Eric Decker some space to be utilized, and Jeremy Curley on the slot. Jeremy Curley is underrated. He's phenomenal. I think he's a great receiver. And then you got Stephen Hill, whom he's a speed guy too. He's okay, I guess. He just has some problems with his hands. He doesn't really catch the ball. Separation's not there. He's not really what the Jets wanted. But I think that dealing with injuries and everything, if he comes out healthy, he can potentially be a player that could be utilized pretty well next year. And then you got David Nelson, the surprise that got picked up from the streets. He showed some promise too. So I see the Jets being very, very successful offensively if they can acquire Desean Jackson. Without Desean Jackson, they'll be mediocre, I guess. They're a traditional ground and pound team. Chris Ivory is a great running back. Him and Bilal Powell complements each other. So a healthy Ivory kind of reminds me of Marshawn Lynch. The guy is tough as nails. That's a hard tackle right there. And then you got Bilal Powell, who's a bit faster, but he doesn't have breakaway speed. But he's very flashy. He makes some cuts. He's very agile. He's elusive. He's a pretty good player as well. So him and Ivory, that's a pretty good duo right there. And there's speculations Chris Johnson might get released. So the Jets will probably jump on that, and they'll have a speed threat out in the backfield, somebody that can break through a hole and just take off. This guy got phenomenal speed. But back to Desean Jackson. Desean Jackson is, in my opinion, a top 10 wide receiver simply because of his speed. This guy is a deep threat to any team, regardless of who your corners is. You got to double this guy at times, and he just gives other players opportunity to be utilized. As I mentioned earlier, Eric Decker, for example, this guy, if he's playing Reeves twice a year and other great corners, he's pretty much going to be out of the game. They're going to take him right out. So with just one playmaker alone, he can't be successful. So, what I mean? You got to have some players over there to be able to help him out. And the Jets desperately need Desean Jackson. But will it happen? I think it's unlikely. You got Michael Vick, his old pal, playing for the New York Jets now. He'll probably talk some senses into him. And, of course, Mark Booningweg, who was his former offensive coordinator. Probably pitch in a little something there, but I don't think they'll have any influence on John Idzik. John Idzik is as stubborn as a mule. This guy believes his own philosophy, his own way, and what he does, he believes it's going to pay in the future. Last year he made some moves and we all questioned his ability as a GM, and it turns out that the Jets miraculously ended 8-8. He made some pretty great pickups, some great moves, and it was pretty good, especially his draft choices. I wasn't very spectacular with the number 1 overall in D. Milliner, but D. Milliner advanced and evolved into being one of the better corners of rookie corners. He played pretty well that last year. He won that last month. He won rookie of the month. So. And then Sheldon Richardson, a guy whom I like a lot, and I think is going to be a monster, an assassin of a player. That was very spectacular. But like I said, Deshaun Jackson to land with the New York Jets is very unlikely. As much as I would like for that to happen, I doubt that will happen simply because John Idzik is as cheap as it gets. You know, the guy's not going to make it. They have cap room, let's face it. The Jets can afford him at even $20 million guaranteed, you know, and, who knows, a 5 year, $55 million or something like that, or I don't know. But, it's a huge risk, and John Idzik's at his second year. He's rebuilding. He's not at Rex Ryan's position. He doesn't necessarily need to win, so he's calm where he's at. He feels like he can address the wide receiver situation through the draft. And, of course, it's a deep draft. It's a deep wide receiver draft, so who knows? You know, he probably will, but I don't think he'll land with the New York Jets. Probably land with Oakland, or something like that. Probably the Redskins. Who knows?